What's good, everybody, and welcome back to Koffee with Tia, episode 5, part 2. We are still in a continued conversation with Miss SL organization owner, web designer for Gabriel and Neo Japan, Marcus Lefevre Enimo. Marcus speaks to us about the various ways his organization helps and supports models through Model Minds, a group support system made for models on Second Life. He also speaks to us about the various criteria required to judge on his show. MUSU is kindly sponsoring 5 of my subscribers who like, share and comment their legacy name on YouTube or Facebook 1,000 Linden worth of gift card each for their store. So make sure you don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity, you guys. Also, a big shout out to Lofton Aria for sponsoring the furniture and the setup for today's show. So without holding you up any further, let's welcome in Marcus Lefevre Enimo. So Marcus, we were speaking about how Mrs. SL and Mr. SL Pagents are different in management styles. Do you have any incidences from those pageants for us to share? Any stories or anything that has happened that you still remember till date?
Well, frankly, I'm very glad that we don't have a lot of drama within the organization at all. And if something happens, then I try to get rid of the drama as quick as possible. But there have been a few situations between misses. They insulted each other or even threatened each other I know about, but I'm pretty sure there are also a number of instances where we actually don't even know about, where the candidates don't talk about it. The men are no saints either. They can get very competitive too. Just the ladies are a lot more competitive.
Right, and say for example there is a escalationary event, there is a scenario event, what would your course of action be being the owner, and how do you handle such situations?
The last thing that I would do, and I haven't done that very often yet, I believe, twice for the ladies and once for the misters, that I have actually disqualified a candidate and throw them out of the competition. But that luckily doesn't happen too often, except for the misses, I think twice, and for the misses. Other than that, trying to talk to the models. Also, there is a group called Model Minds created by Mrs. L Ethiopia in cooperation with Mrs. L Ethiopia 2020 and Mrs. L 2020, Pi and Ella. They are supporting models who experience things like this, for example. Such a competition comes with a lot of pressure. For one, the competitive factor. The other is the time management. Also, at the end of the competition, if someone has not won, if someone has not placed within the top 5 or top 7, that might be a cold blow for some. This group, Model Mind, supporting those models to come over that situation, to understand the situation, manage their second life in a way that they can through this competition pleasant way. Let's put it like this.
Well, absolutely. I think it's a very good initiative from your end, because a lot of nervous models would be out there unable to reach out due to various factors, and helping those condition their minds and having a reassurance that the organization looks out for them and really seem to help their skills and skills get to grow. Also having a positive experience out of the whole pageant.
I'm very grateful for Tai and for Ella and for the projects they have within this group. I think that is a great idea. I would hope that every model or every candidate takes the opportunity to ask for help if they experience trouble, be it not just with a competition, but there are all kinds of troubles a person can encounter. That is in particular focus of this Model Mind group from Thai, Mrs. L Ethiopia 2021, especially mental health in focus, cards and other things to help a model. That is a topic I'm not qualified to talk about really. I just know that competition can be very stressful. I know from models who have cried in their real life with their partners because they are spending so much time on the competition. So I know all these little things, these little problems that models and candidates might have, and then to have this group, Model Mind.
I absolutely agree, and mental health is definitely a priority. So having a group that supports mental health, I think that's quite looked upon as very positive and also a great initiative from your end. So tell us, Marcus, are there any challenges you face in your everyday events which you'd like to share with us, please?
It's also for me very time consuming. Like the Miss SL competition goes from January until May, and then you are basically every day occupied with the competition only, and there's nothing else you can do. The years before, about 35 shows per year that are competitions, Miss SL, Avistars and Miss SL, and that are the fashion shows. 35 shows a year, that is more than every 2 weeks, every other week a show. And that is, like I said, very time consuming. So that end of last year I said, because I have my apartment renovations going on, I said I will not be able to do that, because otherwise I will not be able to renovate my apartment. That I have a very particular way to organize my shows. I'm very particular about every single freaking detail. Myself under a lot of stress too. And then before every show, are very, very nervous. The models, it is good that way, because if you are not nervous anymore, then you do something else. And that is the same for me. Extremely nervous before every show, and Hikaru knows that I'm stressing so very hard. It's a little bit of challenge. Get through that. I would not be nervous before the show anymore, then I would probably look for another job to do. Then I have started last year to learn Blender to be able to do the stages myself in Mesh. It's also a little bit challenging but very enjoyable too. In real life I'm not connected with the fashion industry in any way, so sink myself into the challenges, for example, to come up with challenges that have some relation to fashion, but also in combination with what I mentioned before, with the fantasy aspects that we have here in Second Life. That is also challenging, but it's very enjoyable.
I totally agree with that. As long as you enjoy what you do, and that's truly what passion is really for your work, what challenges day in and day out you face on a daily basis, because for us as audience it looks like a smooth and running and flawless show, however behind the scenes are more to what meets the eye. Please tell us about what criteria does one have to be to partake in one of your events for Mrs. or Mr. SL?
To be a candidate, there is no criteria any at all. For Miss SL, the only criteria we have is that your avatar is at least 6 months old, so that you have a basic experience already, and that you have a female avatar. And for Mr. SL, it's the other way around, but also 6 months old you should be, and have a male avatar, and that is the only criteria. You should also be confident at some point to be with us in a voice. Any struggle with that a little bit, but that is the condition for your participation. Join us in a live interview, voice interview. You is in a very small circle, just the team, the judges, and the candidate, no one else. A runway workshop where I explicitly tell the candidates how I think they can best prepare for the runway challenges, and what tools they need to have in order to walk on the runway. Candidates in that 7 years who were completely new to modeling, who had no idea about modeling at all, and they ended up in the top ranks because they have learned so much in that time. In the Avistar competitions it is even easier. No Miss or Mr. We have no generic genders in the Avistar competitions, so male and female can join. Every age can join. We have tween stars, young stars, and the Avistar that are the adult ones. We can even have Nekos or Furies in the competition. The Avistar competition is the small competition. We have 2 runway challenges, the finalist presentation and the grand finale only, and optional foot challenge. I always get told I'm not good enough for that, or I don't have the experience to join such a competition, but that is, in my terms, not needed. Just come if you are willing, if you are eager, are able to listen, the learning process, and in the end you can even end up as one of the top finalists. One of the keys really to see models joining the competition have no experience at all with modeling, and then we are guiding them from the beginning to the end in the whole process and then seeing them grow, show to another show, from one challenge to another challenge, see how they are growing. There is nothing to pair that with anything. It is like you are growing your own children.
Awesome. So people who are on a lookout to join the modeling industry, you need to be 60 years old on Second Life, and you are free to join in Miss SL organization if you want to step into the modeling world, and Miss SL organization will take care of you from root to finish. Alright, so let's talk about finances, Marcus. What do you think, how much of finances a model is required to carry with her or him in order to join in and partake in the competition, and how much finances will last throughout? From your experience, how much do you suggest?
That's difficult. That really depends on one's own inventory, what they already have. If they have big inventory, they might need not as much. I had candidates telling me that they needed amounts from 10 to 20k in order to go shopping the things that they needed for the challenges. But once again, this can be very, very different depending on one's own inventory. Especially the national costume and the formal challenge. There are 3 challenges: the national costume, the Victoria or Victor's Secret, and the formal outfit. The Victoria, respectively Victor's Secret outfits, usually we get provided by a sponsor, but the national outfit and the formal outfit I would call the most cost-intensive outfits. Some candidates even try asking designers if they are making custom outfits for this particular Grand Finale show. That can be very costly. I have heard numbers for a formal gown going up to 100k, but that is what I tell all the candidates, can do that, but you don't have to. And in my books, it is more worth if a candidate puts their outfit together themselves, create something unique, rather than to order a custom outfit they just need to put on and walk it.
Alright, I see your point there. So you'd rather have a model do the hard work of putting her inventory or his inventory together, rather than having a custom outfit made, which is, in all fairness, I think that's what, if you're judging for the true criteria, and I think that's really unique way of looking at things, really. Let's talk about judging then, Marcus. Who do you put on your judging panel to judge your events then, please?
I left that part mainly to my husband, Hikaru. Before every show is that I tell him, prefer to have some of the previous winners and runners-up, my agency models as well. Roughly the half of the amount of judges that we need to Hikaru to choose then people from either from the fashion industry or models that he knows, bloggers, connection to fashion, to modeling, pageantry, invite people from outside of the fashion and modeling community. I think it is always good to have an external opinion as well. Some organizations might choose to have public voting, but I'm strictly against that. Then I prefer to have who's not in the industry. Like it is always a mix of people that we have there. One competition, Mr. SL, to have about 30 to 40 judges. It's usually 10 per challenge. Bias, as you say, or favorite. There is always a human factor.
Right, so there's definitely a good mixed bag with your judges. They come with all different backgrounds, and just in order to have a fresh pair of eyes, that's a really interesting way of putting your judges and having them judge the show, really.
That can get used very easily, that people use different accounts to vote for their favorite. And public voting is generally always about their favorite. Someone who has 100 friends has then 100 friends voting for them, and someone maybe has only 20 friends, only gets this 20 friends voting for them. There is no objective view on the styling that the candidate did, on the performance that the candidate did. It's all about favorites, about friends. That is what happens with public voting. And then I've experienced that with, I did a picture challenge once. Maybe let's do public voting. And it turned out that than to be able to use the voting form several times and voted then for the same person again and again and again is something I don't want to have in my competition. If someone else is doing that, it's up to them.
Oh, I totally agree with you on that, because it cuts down on unbiasedness, it cuts down on favoritism and gives everyone a fair and equal chance to, win the competitions. Okay, so coming on to SL limitations, Marcus, do you have any SL limitations which you think might be an obstruction for you to do your work in your field?
Limitations that I personally experience is that I always think when I plan a show, I have the greatest ideas, but then I always end up doing it much smaller than I actually wanted, because there are these building limitations or limitations with scripts that you have in order to maintain my stage. But that's all I could think about. I think Second Life is a wonderful place.
Oh, I see your point there, Marcus, and I think it really draws upon the attention for the building and scripting limitations that you're mainly speaking about. Okay, Marcus, so you've been in the industry for 7 years now, so please tell us about what do you think fashion is in your eyes?
I was a modeling student myself back then, and I do see every resident here in Second Life being a model. So like you, for example, as you are sitting on the couch, what you are wearing. If I would be a lady, I probably would want to know where you got that beautiful blazer from, or that beautiful top. And so you are in that already a model, and everyone else too. And if you have the capability, if you are able to wear something that inspires others, that makes others wonder, where did you get that from? Can I buy it? Then you are already a model. That's what I'm looking for. I always look on men's shoes, because it tells you a lot how their sense for fashion in Second Life is. Men are very limited when it comes to fashion generally, and then even more so when it comes to shoes. And if you see a man who has attached their shoes properly, then you can say they are doing everything else proper too.
Tell me, Marcus, who's your inspiration and what inspires you to come on Second Life every single day?
Good question. I wouldn't say that I'm inspired by someone or something. There's a motivation. Core motivation is to provide an environment to models that is not as toxic. I want models to be able to come to me and get an objective feedback, getting insulted, because that is also something that I've experienced myself, and that I know have models experienced before, that they got a very destructive feedback, and I don't want that in my organization. And so I'm trying to be objective, trying to be supportive to the models, and that is my core motivation. And the feedback that I'm getting from the models is keeping that motivation up. They are happy. If they have enjoyed their participation, then I'm even happier. And like that, they are coming back year for year. That is like the biggest compliment to me.
Okay, Marcus, so being in the fashion industry field, I think social media plays a crucial role to promote your brand, to promote the show really, and especially on Second Life. What is your take on it? Do you think social media is helpful for you, or do you have quite the other opinion about it?
I think it is important. I have made the experience for the competitions at least, that I get more responses from group notices inward. The last year I have also reduced my social network activity because some things are going on there which are, let's call it, difficult. Misinformation, fake news, and all those kind of things. I don't want to deal with that, so I'm just promoting my shows, my events, and that's about it. And that is just an addition. In my experience, I get more responses from group notices inward, actually.
So along the lines of promoting a brand which makes it more popular and more reachable, there also comes competition in the industry, and fashion industry for sure on Second Life has a lot kind of competition around it. What would you say, who is your biggest competitor, or who do you take competition as really on Second Life?
Well, there are a number of competitors pageant industry in Second Life.
Yep.
I don't want to single anyone out or name anyone, but I have made it my strategy not to look what others do, and so I don't feel anyone is a competition to me, and I hope I'm not a competition to them either. Every organization, every competition from other organizations, they all have their own right to be, with their own rules, with their own way to organize events. Everyone should be able to do whatever they want, and in the same way I do that too. And so I don't feel it as a competition at all. I finish a competition at the last rehearsal. I always tell the finalists, so now this competition is finished, and maybe get out and see what else is out there, other organizations, other competitions, and join them too, in order to gain experience, because we are not only ones.
Absolutely. I think that's a very healthy way of promoting the model skills, at the same time also giving them a bit of a adventure out to the other organizations, what they can offer, what taste do they offer in the industry. I think that's very humble of you to do that. It really polishes the model skill because it gains exposure to a different organization, and you're not holding back from telling that or shying away from saying that go, you can brush up your skills somewhere else. And I think that's very professional of you, and also shows that you're genuinely interested in making the model's career a more successful one as well. At the end of the day, we all come back as Second Lifers here to enjoy our Second Life in one platform together with each other, in coordination, in cooperation, and I think that's a strong message out there. So Marcus, tell me any messages you have for your fellow Second Lifers or your fellow models out there, please.
Eternally grateful for all the support that we have gotten in the last 7 years. Like I said at the beginning already, I never expected it to become this kind of huge thing, and then every time to get that feedback and the support from the models, from the audience, from my team, of course too, that is sometimes a little bit mind-blowing. And I'm eternally grateful for that. Well, for one, I thank you for inviting me, and I think it is very kind of you to invite people like me who are basically working in the background, or I prefer to work in the background, to give them maybe a voice too, and maybe we can learn from you, Tia, from more people that you want to invite about the awesome work they do.
Indeed, a very strong and a positive message out there. And thank you so much for those kind words, Marcus. We definitely are there for the grid, and any information we could provide or any which ways we can help out the grid and my fellow Second Lifers, I think that's what our goal at Tproductions is really. So we are equally very excited and happy. At the same time, we also look forward to learning about new skills, talents, and what people do on Second Life really. With that, I think I would like to wrap up this interview, Marcus. Thank you so much for your time. And once again, it was a pleasure having you with us here today. And I hope you did enjoy today's interview.
I did very much so, thank you.
A big shout out to all our sponsors for today's episode: Lofton Aria, MUSU, Black Sand, ENJ, Unique Creations, and Zaka. Stay tuned for more such content and some very exciting projects coming up for the next rounds of the interview, guys. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy my content. I shall see you again for next Thursday in the next episode for Coffee with Tia. Till then, stay virtual and God bless.